COVID-19, obviously our number one concern is going to be minimizing the spread of COVID-19. And that becomes a problem, obviously, at a secondary school setting with high school athletes. Usually their behaviors that they're used to being in close contact with each other, their shared spaces, locker rooms, weight rooms, once we do return back to school, in the hallways, lunches and things like that. But kind of more specifically, as we return back to sport is, most of these kids have been through a period of inactivity of 3, maybe 4 months or of longer. So deconditioning is going to be one of our major concerns, that we don't want to try to jump in too fast and too soon, so that we create other injuries that are avoidable. Also during this time of year, and as we progress further into the summer, is due to the deconditioning is the increased risk of heat illness. The heat illness risk is always there as we start activity. However, add to that the period of inactivity, and that really increases our risk of heat illnesses, and we want to be prepared to minimize those risks as much as possible. Athletic trainers right now are helping reduce the risk associated with returning back to sports. Really looking at that from a policy and facility kind of driven emphasis. Some of the things that we're doing is limiting access to our athletic facilities. We're doing screenings prior to health questionnaires, temperature checks. Not letting the athletes utilize locker rooms or kind of minimize some of those open spaces or shared spaces, and really minimizing the time that they are spent congregating in those areas. We've also had an increased emphasis on cleaning all of our facilities. So that's come from coaches, our janitorial staffs, even all the way up to the oversight of our facilities, clean between use or other recommended procedures there. And then as far as returning back to sport, we really worked with our coaches to make sure that they've really understood the need for a proper increase in exercise intensity, and then also making sure that we're continuing to monitor heat conditions, weather conditions, for a proper and appropriate acclimatization. Some changes that students and parents might expect during the upcoming school year, what we're dealing with COVID is number one, be flexible and expect the unexpected. Classrooms, class sizes may be different, may have alternating day schedules, things of that nature. But also there's a possibility that sports may be delayed or interrupted. Ultimately that's our goal to avoid that, but that's a real possibility. There also may be the need to wear masks during practices, during classes, maybe social distancing enforced during games, practices, things like that. The real take-home point is that we're dealing with a situation that we've never dealt with before, and as we move forward, we're going to have to be flexible and work together as a team to overcome this. As a parent, some things that you can do to help, your youth athletes adhere to some of these changes and policy and procedures is one, lead by example. You're the number one influence on your children, and by serving as that positive role model and lead by example, that we be able to return back to sports as quickly and as safely as possible. Also make sure that we're getting good information, and where we get that good information from is is, again, coming from our local health officials, our healthcare providers. And to those parents of athletes who their kids go to schools without an athletic trainer, as we're returning back to sport during this time, in the midst of a pandemic, you have one big question that you need to ask your school administration is who is a healthcare provider that's going to ensure that sports is returning back as safely and as effectively as possible. And one, that's the athletic trainer that can not just ensure that the COVID-19 protocols and procedures are in place, but again, everything else that we've discussed in regards to heat illness, acclimatization, detraining, and then just our normal day-to-day injuries and things like that.